What is up, guys? Pinky49 here. We are back on the Desolation map. And I'm standing back at the center of downtown yet again. It's downtown time, guys. I hope you enjoyed Chinatown while it lasted. There will be no more Chinatown videos. We're working downtown now, and I'm working hard, and I'm working on the Drumpf Tower because I got all these interiors going, okay? I'm putting up buildings really quickly, but I'm not finishing the interiors, and that's what I kind of, something that I need to focus on. I need to start finishing these interiors before I start a new building so that I don't lose focus, but I'm feeling kind of inspired to work on Drumpf right now. This is one of those interiors that I started and stopped and then came back to later and realized that it was a bigger project than I had anticipated, so I kind of lost motivation. Have you ever felt that way? That's how I'm feeling about this one. But now, I don't know, it's going a little bit faster now, and I'm starting to get more into it, and I want to get a big push on this tower because it's going up rather quickly, and I got some people who offered to help, including like IGL Zenix. He's working on a room, so I really appreciate that, and that's going to help this skyscraper go up a lot faster. But check it out. See, this is all off camera work. I've been doing some stuff. This is sort of like the suite floor. You know, when you're in a hotel, you can order or buy or rent or whatever you call it, like a suite that you could live in. It's a larger than a hotel room. It's got a kitchen. It's got a nice bathroom. So that's what these are. I did a floor of these. I'm gonna do another floor of these today. I'm not gonna like do a whole bunch of interior work today. What I'm going to focus on today, as far as building goes, is setting up the floor, getting it ready for interiors. And I feel like this is a valuable thing to show you guys because it shows you how to double skin. It shows you how to change the carpets in each room. It shows you how to, treat each room as its own separate entity. And this is how I set up to do that. So I'm going to work on the patio outside, and then I'm going to go inside and start setting things up for the next wave of interior buildings, interior risings. Oh, I'm looking forward to it, but at the same time, not so much. Not so much. All right, so what do we got going today? We're going to be in super fast forward motion. You know the drill by now. You know what day it is. It is Monday, the part of the series where I answer a creative question of the week provided by you, the community. You guys ask questions in the comment section and I answer. And wow, last week the comment section was off the hook. You guys really showed up for last week's episode, and I really do appreciate that. I noticed when comments are down, but I also noticed when comments are up. And last week you guys really interacted and you really got into it. I had a ton of great questions. So to everyone who put a comment in last week's video, I really want to say thank you. I appreciate the interaction. I appreciate you stopping by and just joining me for this journey and being a part of it. I really do. It means a lot to me, and I can't say thank you enough. So thank you for that. So there was sort of like a theme. I found two questions that were kind of the same thing. So whenever I get two questions that are kind of similar, I take it as a sign. So our first creative, I'm going to show them both. Our first creative question of the week comes from F_JPucks_F and JFJPucks. I don't know how to say his name. He says, Bean, I was just wondering how someone's childhood experiences could drastically affect their beliefs when they turn into adults. When you were younger, you were able to tour the world, a rare experience that most of us don't have. I was wondering how this affected you. After all, you witnessed multiple cultures and lifestyles, so naturally that would influence you in some way. Personally, I'm homeschooled, so unlike you, I don't have the privilege of freedom to your extent. You toured the world, whereas I'm stuck at home for the most of my life. Just wanted to do a compare and contrast sort of thing. All right, thank you, J Pucks. The other question came from Mindefire26, and he says, have you ever gone to a different country other than India, and what are some stories, if you have any? All right, thank you guys for your questions. I really appreciate those, and it seems like these are kind of based off of a previous creative question of the week video where I talked about the importance of traveling. And in that video I talked about it. I've been so lucky that I had the great fortune of being able to travel a lot when I was younger. And as an adult, so I travel a lot. And my parents didn't buy me a lot of possessions, but instead we went on a lot of vacations. And so I was able to see the world. And when my family goes on vacation, at least in the past, we like to go to like more obscure places. My dad's from England, my mom's from South America. So, we go back to their home, and that's already pretty, different. Most people don't go to England or South America, but I've been there a lot. So I've been to a bunch of different countries. What I'm trying to say, I've been to Mexico several times, Dominican Republic, all sorts of things. Like I said, England 4 times I think now. Been to India, been to China, I've been to Australia. I've been to a lot of different countries, and I've been there several times. I've been to Peru, and like JPEX was saying, it's true. I learned more spending a week in a foreign country than you learn a whole year in school. And that's the God's honest truth. You will learn more about life, about reality, about putting your own life into perspective in 1 week in a foreign country than like all the cumulative experiences that you'll have in school this year. Okay, you learn a lot going to a different country, and it puts your life into perspective. You see people living life from a different viewpoint, and it really opens your eyes. And that's what happened to me. And like JPEX was saying, like, expansion is a result. And you can't really replace that kind of experience with anything else. So, I do have some stories. Okay, there was this one time I was in Australia with my sister, and we were staying with my cousin, and we wanted to go to the beach. And there's a really nice beach called Surfer's Paradise, but it's several hours away from where my cousin lives. So we borrowed his car, got in the car, drove all the way to Surfer's Paradise. Like I said, I think it's like 3 hours away. Something like that, 2.5 or something like that. And we get to the beach. We park the car. We get to the beach, and it's a beautiful Australian day. The sun is shining. The waves are beautiful. The water's clear. And we just couldn't resist it. We had to go into the water. And it's mid-afternoon. It's hot. It's Australia. It's hot. And so we go onto the beach, and we both say we're going into the water. Like, we couldn't resist it. When you see water that clear, when you see those waves, I love to body surf. So we both went in the water. And, we left our shoes and our clothes on the beach. And when we come back, what do we find? All our stuff is gone. Including the keys to the car. Oh, my goodness. So we are now 2.5, 3 hours away from home. Not counting the 7,000 miles away we're from home. Have no way to get back. This is before cell phones, no cell phone. So we go to the police, and the police are no help. They're like, basically, yeah, there's a lot of undesirables on this beach. What can I say? So thank you, Australian police. I mean, honestly, there's nothing they could do, but maybe be a little bit more considerate or empathetic to our situation. So they basically said there's nothing you can do. They let us use their phone. So we called my cousin, and he's like, well, I'm at work. I'll come over after work. And so we waited, and we had no clothes on. We're in our swimming stuff, right? And the sun starts to set, and it's not winter. This is like fall, I think. So it gets colder and colder and colder. And she's wearing her swimsuit. I'm wearing my swim trunks. Now full night has descended upon us. And we are freezing cold. Our teeth are chattering. We have nowhere to go. We're like homeless, basically, living on the streets, just waiting for our cousin to show up. Finally, he shows up, and it's super late. We're like, I'm at the verge of hypothermia. People are staring at us. They're wearing their coats and sweaters, and they're just staring at us. These two kids wearing nothing in the freezing cold. So it wasn't freezing, but it was super cold. But that was a lesson. I'm never going to go in the ocean again. I can't trust people. No, I'm going to go in the ocean, okay? I wasn't attacked by Jaws. But that was definitely a culture shock to see that. It kind of saw the grimy side of Australia, okay? So that was a fun story that, I don't know, I felt like I learned a lesson. I lived in Peru for a while. What it was is I worked with a program where you got to go to another country, Peru. You live with a Peruvian family, and they feed you, they do your laundry, you get to live there. In exchange, you have to do some community service. So every day I would teach English to this school. This is like, imagine the most poverty. The school was just like some stucco buildings, some stucco rooms, basically. The floor was dust. So these kids are just learning in this dusty environment. They're breathing in all this dust at school. Like, I got a serious infection from those classrooms. My lungs got infected. It was just a bad situation, but it felt good to be there to do my part to help teach the kids English. But so many adventures occurred in Peru. I can't even tell you. We went to Machu Picchu. That was a a mind-altering experience. You know, the pictures of Machu Picchu don't do it justice. It just doesn't do it justice. We got there like 5 a.m. before the sun had come up, and there's 2 mountains in Machu Picchu. There's the Machu Picchu archaeological site, and there's a mountain on each side. There's Huayna Picchu Mountain and Machu Picchu Mountain, and all the tourists love to go up to Huayna Picchu Mountain because you get some great views of Machu Picchu. It takes an hour to walk up there. It's cool, right? So we go up there, we get in line. There's a line of about 200 people, and they only let 200 people up. And so me and my friend and my sister and some of the people that were with us were like, oh man, we're not going to get to climb this mountain. We're not going to see Machu Picchu from an elevated vantage point. We came all this way for nothing. And then a guide tells us, you know what, guys, this is the tourist line. You know, there's a bigger mountain over here. It takes 3 hours to get to the top, but the view's way better. And we're like, oh, really? Okay. Now, Machu Picchu's at 9,000 feet, which is pretty high. So we start climbing, and we're climbing up Inca steps. And you can like Google Inca steps, but basically they're steps that the Incas made 400 years ago, and they're super narrow. So imagine like a step if your foot was like half its size. So look at your foot. Imagine it's half its size, and that's how wide the step is. But the height of the step is like twice a normal step. So they're super narrow, but you got to lift your leg really high. And it was a way for the Incas to climb mountains faster, right? But it also requires an extreme amount of energy. And once you're running out of oxygen at 9,000 feet, that's what happened to me. I basically got about halfway up, and I collapsed on the steps, and I was just exhausted. I couldn't go any further. But Machu Picchu was down below, and I was elevated, and right then and there, right as I like collapsed on the steps, the sun kind of peeked its head out, the sunrise, and it was like it just completely covered the ruins in this golden light. It was like a moment, you know what I mean? It was like, oh my goodness, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. The sun just like glimmering on the ruins below, and that gave me the energy to get to the top of the mountain, and I did. And oh man, it was the most beautiful view. Very few people could make it up that mountain, so like we had the mountain to ourselves. Basically, took some of the best pictures you can imagine of Machu Picchu from so high. So that was another thing. Then in Peru there was another thing, because we during the weekends we were allowed to do whatever we want. We teach English. I taught English during the weekdays, but on the weekends we could go anywhere. We went to this place called Choqquequirao. This was we had to take a bus. It was a long way away, because we're in the middle of the Inca. We're in Cusco. I was in Cusco, so this is in the middle of the Inca place. Ruins everywhere. And we went to this one ruin that, oh man, a long bus ride. It was a 4-day hike, and if I thought Machu Picchu Mountain was difficult, this was 4 days of that, and man, we barely made it. Honestly, my muscles were failing. It was just up and down, going through the Andes Mountains, just hiking to get to this ruins that's, it's like deep in the jungle, but not the jungle. It's like in the mountains. So we finally get there. I didn't think I'd make it, but oh man, we had the whole site to ourselves. It was surreal. Imagine walking just for 2 straight days nonstop into the Andes Mountains, and you come up across this Inca ruin site where there's no one there. It's basically untouched for hundreds of years. Oh, it was so beautiful, life changing. We went to the top of like where they do rituals. We chewed some coca leaves. We said some prayers to Pachamama, and we just passed out. we were like, no one said, okay, we're gonna take a nap, but all of us just at the same time just like passed out and woke up like hours later, just again alone in the middle of this Inca site. It was awesome. Just to answer the question, I've seen a lot of poverty. Like I've been to India, been to Bolivia, extreme poverty, and I think that's what's changed my life the most. I remember this one time we were in Dominican Republic, and we went on this 4x4 Jeep ride, and they were basically just going to show us some highlights of the island. And so we saw a bunch of tourist stuff. We went to the city. We went to a place where you could hold snakes. We went to this waterfall you could swim in. It was so beautiful. It was just like a postcard. But then, thank goodness for this, they also took us to what they called a Haitian village. It was where some Haitian refugees were living in the Dominican Republic. And they were just living in these metal shacks, and it was just absolute poverty. Absolute poverty. All they have to their whole name is a metal shack. They all share this water hole that's just contaminated and polluted, and they don't have clothes on, and they look sickly, and that like just that one image. And I get the same image in Bolivia, the same image in India. You see poverty everywhere, but nothing like that really. And it just opens your eyes to how much you have, how blessed you are. Okay, you don't get to travel the world, right? As the J-Pax was saying, he feels stuck at home. He doesn't get to travel the world. Do you know how absolutely abundant and blessed you are to have what you have? Okay, so you don't get to travel, but you have so much. You've got food on your table, you got clothes on your back, you've got a bed to sleep in, you got internet to use. You have so much, and you don't have to travel the world to know that. That's how I came to know that. But you don't have to go anywhere to really appreciate all the beautiful things that you have in your life. You can do that right now. And you can say, you know what? These people who have nothing, these people who are living in a shack, these people who are, their only access to water is a contaminated pond. These people have smiles on their faces. They're happy to see me. They're waving. They're enjoying their life. They're not bound to possessions. They're not bound to materialism. There's nothing in their brain that tells them the more stuff I have, the happier I will be. And that's the biggest lesson I think that I've learned in my travels, is that the stuff you have, I don't know if you understand this, but the stuff you own owns you. The stuff you own owns you. So in America, we're taught that happiness comes from acquiring possessions. But when you travel, the more you travel, the more you see that true happiness comes from connections with other people, love you share with friends and family, enjoying life, enjoying what you do have, rather than being sad over what you don't have. And it's just a shift, a perception shift that we in America or Great Britain or wherever you're from, we in first world nations need to make. We need to make that understanding. And we always think of all these third world nations are behind us. Third world nations are way ahead of us. Way ahead of us. And maybe it's not through their design. Maybe it's not their choice. Maybe these third world nations want to be built up like the US or like Great Britain. But as a result of not being built up like we are, they don't have that materialistic drive, and they're just purely happy just to be. They're happy just to be here. And I think that's something that we can all learn. That's what I've learned from my travels, and that's what I'm trying to explain to you now. So that is the creative question of the week. I hope you guys got something out of it. I had fun talking about it. I have a lot of different stories from all over the world that I'd like to share, but no time, ran out of time. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. Leave a like if you did. Put a comment in the comment section for next week so I know what to answer. All right, leave a like if you enjoyed this. Happy Minecrafting. Peace.